All right, sweet, sweet. Welcome everybody to another episode of Mornings with Movers. We are getting up there. I think this is like our, what is it, 49th episode? It's been amazing,
Damn,
amazing journey.
almost at
Um,
52, almost at the year mark.
yeah. So no, what's been going on, Cliff? How's everything been going?
Man, things have been good other than last night we had to go to the ER. My kid was sick. They gave him an MRI. They were a little concerned. They rushed us to another hospital in an ambulance. And I'm freaking out. Like, first, I was freaking out about my kid. Then, when I found out my kid was okay, I was freaking out about the bill because you know how they do you in the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
but but everything's good. He's safe and sound, healthy, and yeah, we get to enjoy Family Day. He's feeling a
Yeah,
lot better already, which is good.
yeah, no, that's good. At least you get to enjoy sun. It's another snowy day out. I woke up, car is full of snow and everything.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that. I have a team member who lives in Colorado too. Oh my goodness. He showed me pictures out there. I'm so thankful to be in Arizona.
You know, it ain't
So
like
great.
snow. You can go out. You can go out and what they call it, sled.
Yeah. Yeah. Having to
uh,
warm your car up and oh,
yeah. So no,
I
other
have
than that,
cauliflower.
no. What were you saying?
I have cauliflower ear, so I can't deal with that cold anyway. That hurts
Uh,
my ears so bad.
gotcha. Now, no. Other than that, I've been just keeping my ears to the ground. I've been hearing some, definitely some stuff about the industry with the marketing and stuff. Heard yesterday, I think that like all these lead providers are definitely charging an arm and a leg for like leads now.
Oh wow. Okay.
And and I used to believe that, that was the direction to go in because it was like, okay, you know what? Granted, they are expensive, but it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you need to be able to filter because if you don't have those leads, how are you getting the numbers? And then is every customer the right customer for you?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
So
you gotta input, outputs, and then adjust.
yeah, so I think it's like no matter what, it's like pretty much the lead provider got you by the balls. You really you don't want to use them, but you need them. You know, and you
Yeah.
hope that you get a great ROI by it from it.
Hmm. Yep.
And,
Yep.
and test, track, and tweak, as they say. Just keep using them. Make sure your filters, I guess, are on properly. And I think a lot of people don't know how to manage their filters, and these lead providers won't tell you at all because they're trying to sell you.
Yeah, they don't. They have an agenda, and that agenda is not making your life as easy as possible.
Yeah, it's like so we serviced 7 counties when we were in business, and it was a pretty good radius.
Hmm.
And some lead providers were like, "Oh well, all of New York is considered local leads." And I'm like, no, the hell is not. That's like telling people all of Florida is considered local leads.
Yeah,
It could take you 8 hours
really
just to
about
get
500 miles away.
right. Now you got to tell that customer, hey, I got to charge you my local rates. You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
I can't even service you actually because you're so far away. Like,
yeah.
but also I think a good way for people is what is it called? Oh, get like remote offices. It's been a great idea for some people to try to
Mhm.
expand their market a little bit because if you have like a remote office, then it seems like maybe you're coming from that location and you could start building your SEO for that location.
Mhm.
And now you can get more volume by having just having what do you call it? Remote locations in one single location or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
And I think that's very, very underutilized
Yep.
because people, one, are just having, having fun trying to estimate from one location to only have to imagine how to estimate from a second location. And then you do have the issue is if you're in up north, you may be like your remote location may be like 5 minutes from a customer's house, but you coming from like an hour away,
Yep.
and you're like, oh yeah, the snow is bad. I got to get it off my truck. What's taking you guys so long? You guys were supposed to be here like forever ago. And you're like, oh, we're on our way. Do I have to come to your office?
The game gets fun and interesting, that's for sure.
So no, but it's definitely different ways to shave the cat. They say, even though you shouldn't be shaving no type of cat, but we ain't gonna talk about that. But no, so yeah, that's what I've been hearing about. Like I said, the lead providers and stuff like that. Um, Other than that, I think obviously the housing market's still just been horrible. There are still people shutting down left and right. It's been crazy. I guess anything you've been hearing on your end?
I know it is nuts. I know things are really, really slow. A lot of movers are actually freaking out about the whole thing. There's an elephant in the room, and it's hard for some to talk about it. But I personally think it's freeing to talk about things. If you know what you're talking, at least you know where you're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can at least adjust and figure out like, okay, how do I get these wins? Because that's the name of the game. Like, how do I get these wins? Because a win's harder to come by right now. But you become a better business owner too, because a win's harder to come by. And so when it opens back up, because it will, there's highs and lows. When things open back up, you're better than you were before. But yeah, it's tight right now. People are hurting for sure.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where, I guess, and I kind of did a little poll in the group or whatever the case is, and just for some of you that may not know, obviously the group name has changed. And with that being said, it's just we want to focus more on where people are struggling and where people could use help. I know a lot of people probably see some of the posts, but then, don't like it, don't react to it, or whatever the case is, but I hope you're getting value from it. But ultimately, it's like trying to figure out where people are struggling and where people need help at, and not to be afraid to ask for help, because I would say this is the only community that, I feel like I try to keep it judgment free. I try to keep it like, respectful, whatever the case is, but it's all about training and getting information that you need to grow your business. So definitely take advantage of it. Don't be afraid to post. Don't be afraid to ask questions or whatever the case is, because it's only holding you back from growing.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. The moving industry, I learned so much, even being a part of it. And one thing that I did learn, so as a football player, the thing that determines who's a badass and who's not, and this is in the lower leagues, probably not as much in the NFL, but your bench press, how much you can bench. And in the trucking community or in the moving community, it's how many trucks do you have? That's what I've been noticing, at least. Whoever has the most trucks is benching the most. But then there's all those other nuances that you also start learning, like knowing your numbers, knowing your systems, knowing your process, knowing all of these things. And it's such a fascinating game to master. Like even as Louis Massaro said, if you can make it in the moving industry, you can make it in any industry. And I would 100% agree with that, because it is not an easy industry. But man, if you master it, you can master anything.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that those that do have so many trucks and feel like prideful, like, oh, I got 9 trucks, or I got 15 trucks, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For the smaller guys, don't feel like you need to be where they are, because it comes with a lot of headache. Truck expenses by itself is ridiculously high, especially in this day and age. Everything is going. Go ahead.
you're so right. And it's like, I look at, compare yourself with where you're at and also compare yourself to where you want to be. So some people, they might want 20, 30 trucks. Some people might want two and they're happy with it and they're content. Some might have, if you have someone with two trucks and they have their systems and their processes in check, and you have someone with 20 trucks and their sanity, like, because Lewis also said this was really interesting to me. He was ready to jump. He was ready to give it all up. Like, I hate this. Why am I doing this? And sometimes we build something and we don't even realize we're building a prison. And it's like, the cool thing is just being aware of it and being like, you know what? This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I signed up for. But I think we all have to kind of go through that process a little bit. I know I went through it. Where I was building something I didn't want to build it. I'm like, oh crap, I'm screwing up. Like, let me step back and let me see, like, let me readjust and remember what it is that I'm doing and why it is that I'm doing it.
Yeah, and you also got to remember it's not an easy thing to do, when it comes to rebuilding, because you're in a people's business.
Yeah.
So you got to get your employees to buy into whatever you're trying to change to. It was like, prime example, I didn't have any training when I got into the moving industry. So, it was like trying to Google everything, trying to find everything that I can to know what I know. And now when I found, like, let's say Louis Mazzaro, I found somebody that could help train me in the industry for whatever aspect I needed help with, it was like, oh, this is interesting. I want to incorporate this. But I have people that's been winging it. I have my salespeople that's been winging it. I have my movers that's been winging it, because we didn't date it. They only knew what I knew. So now it's like, how do I get their buy-in? How do I get my sales team using sales scripts? How do I get my movers to load that truck in a nice, organized format? Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I was throwing shit in the truck. I said, hey, it got all in there, sir. And it was like, what the hell is that? And I was like, yeah, a packed truck. But when we got it to the point of being able to put it in tiers, I was like, tiers? What the hell is tiers? I hope I ain't tearing after this job, but but no. So when I finally found that format of tiers and how to load up the truck properly, it was like, okay, let me implement this with my guys and make sure that they understand that, hey, this is the way, this is the new way that things have to be done.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to just like incorporate that, because that it's going to take time. And a lot of people just say, hey, I'm just going to say it once and they better understand it. And it's something you got to keep drilling in.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's a saying, people can't duplicate, but systems can. And understanding, like, okay, what's the system that needs to be implemented for the result that I want and everybody else wants. Like, it's the hardest part of being an owner is you have to think from your lens and everyone else's lens too. So it's very, very, like, it is not an easy game by any means. But when you get it, it's a freeing game. But you got to get it.
And like I said, the systems never stop being built. Still to today, I'm building spreadsheets left and right, because I'm like, what? I love spreadsheets, and some CRMs are great. Some, other systems are great, but it's like, there is no system like your own system, because it's like your brain being poured onto a piece of paper, where it's just like, this is how I think. And if I want to duplicate this to have other people think like I think, I need to be able to create it in a way that it makes sense.
Yeah. And I look at how to make the system as easy as possible. And it's always figuring out, like, okay, it's pretty easy, but could we make it easier? It's pretty easy, but could we make it easier? Because when it's easy, people do it. When it's not, they don't. And what was interesting, one thing that I strangely learned on my journey, whenever I wanted something, I'd get it, but I'd get it because I could see the visual outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I already saw the end in mind. So now the reps that I was putting in was just the reps. It's like, whatever, I'll put in whatever reps I have to put in because I can see it. I go, oh my goodness, everybody's that way, but they're not necessarily, they don't see the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can't see the end, why are they putting in the rep? Like, well, this rep sucks, or man, I don't like these reps. Well, they're looking at the moments that they don't like instead of looking at what they're going to be, like chasing their future self almost.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would definitely say starting over is hard, but
Yeah.
once you get going, it's the easy part.
Yeah.
And one of my guys last night, I guess he was furious that, something was going on with his guys, because they, customer, it was a nightmare customer in the moving industry. And you have those every so often.
I know how those go. Yeah.
And, and I have my times where I think about, hey, you know what? Maybe, you should get back into the moving game. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do this. Because, we know what we know, and we've been doing it for so long that it's just that remorse of, I want to do it again. But then you think about all the headaches.
Yeah.
You think about all the nightmares and, the long nights you stayed up and, and then, like I said, the prime example yesterday where the guy was like, oh, this freaking customer, I lost my mind. And, and you're like, that's why I stopped this bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
well, I could only imagine the snow added into that too. Like,
oh yeah, because you still got to show up and you still got to climb over snowbanks.
Yeah.
Oh, why my sofa got a wet spot on it? Did you not see outside?
Yeah.
Or the 90-degree summer weathers. Why I got a sweat stain on my sofa? Oh, did you not know the guys had to carry up 3 flights of stairs?
I remember I had so I was helping in a moving job, and this woman was complaining that we weren't moving fast enough. And we were going up 3 flights of stairs, and they were tight stairs. The tight corners where you have to do everything perfectly. So she started doing it. Actually, doing it would mean plural. She did one thing. She carried up a plant vase. That's all she did. She carried up a plant vase up 3 flights of stairs. And it was very interesting because she stopped complaining after that. Because I think when she experienced what it feels like to carry things up 3 flights, it's not exactly the easiest thing until you actually do something yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so she went from complaining to being very, very kind, actually. Hey, can I get you guys a glass of water? Hey, you guys need anything?
She was trying to
People
get y'all
just need to experience it.
She was trying to get y'all some faucet water. They be disrespectful as hell. Like, we all know faucet ain't good water. You got a Brita on that? But no, there's always been those weird situations where there'll be older customers who feel like they could have done it faster than you and like, oh well, I could have probably done that move faster than you guys. Well, sir, why didn't you do the move?
Yeah,
And,
I got a name for them too. It actually makes my life a lot easier. I call them the peanut gallery. Usually people who they sit on the sidelines and they tell you how to do it or what to do or how they could do it better. And then I like giving them the option, like, all right, let's give it a try. Let's see what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a fun experience, actually.
So no. Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird, but hey, we get through these jobs one job at a time, they like to say. So, and I think it all comes down to your sanity, especially like, okay, So it depends on, like you said, Cliff, with how big you want to build and seeing that end goal or whatever the case is. Not
Mhm.
maybe even the end goal, but and maybe you could see the end goal. I guess it just depends on what your ultimate focus is. Hey, I want to retire at 45 or 46. I want to have my operations at 15 trucks, X amount of reps, making X amount of millions a year.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So if that's the case and you already have kind of like the end game in mind, now it's all about reverse engineering that and breaking it down to figure out how to get there and how many and what years you're going to do what, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
And it's no right science to it because obviously things happen, so things may not be aligned. Oh well, in year three, I need to at least have like 7 trucks, and maybe in year three you only have 5 or 6 trucks.
Yep.
You know, so but it's I guess piecing it together and putting an idea on paper that gives you some insight to stay on track
Yeah.
versus that thing changing every time in your head.
I have one of my coaches, they say if you write it, you invite it. And so writing something down, even you said something about judgment. We're not here to judge. Writing it down gives you an opportunity to even get there. If you don't even put it to paper, you don't even have a chance because it's stuck in
Mm-hmm.
your head. But when you write it, you at least have a chance. And if you don't get there, then you can say, okay, well, what happened? Why didn't I get there? Did I not have the right vehicle? Was I not the right person? Was my timing off? Was my positioning off? What happened?
Did you
And we
have
can
the
play with
help
it.
or did you do
Yeah.
it by yourself?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's the one thing that people are fearful of is like, especially with startups, is like, oh, well, I got to do everything by myself. I got to do this. I got to do this. And, and you realize that yes, you could be the jack of all trades, but the master of none. It is what it is. But that can also be a crippler too, because if you have somebody that specializes in one of those fields while you focus on the other fields until you build up,
Hmm.
that's going to probably be the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's interesting. As I go through this journey, there's a saying, don't be the smartest person in the room, because if you are, you're in the wrong room. And I'm so intentional with that these days. And in the beginning of my journey, I got used to growing into the person I needed to grow into, but I never realized, oh, I got to be really intentional with the rooms that I'm going into as well. Like extremely intentional with the rooms that I'm going into, because it stretches me. It allows me to see new possibilities. Like even in business, I played the solopreneur way too long. And I didn't use my leverage very effectively,
Mm-hmm.
but I was great at putting the reps in. Well, it's kind of hard to put in a bunch of reps and not have the leverage that you need. Like that kind of sucks. You wouldn't put your car in neutral and push it around. You would go inside the car, turn the ignition, and hit the accelerator or the brake. But I go, oh, well, we all have conditionings in us. So everyone's doing the best they can with where they're at on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to go through the journey and you got to question your journey too. Like, well, do I like the journey I'm on? Do I like the path that I'm on? And if you like it, keep playing it all day long.
Yeah,
If you
and
don't,
it's
yeah,
weird. It's weird. We don't know what we don't know, and I'm a big believer in that. It's like when an opportunity come about, you have to assess the opportunity. You have to see if it's going to have benefits on you and benefits to the other person or other thing in mind. So when I say that, is like, okay, I had a company approach me when a couple of years ago that said, hey, we can offer you some consultation. And I'm like,
mhm,
I don't need no darn consultation. Like,
yeah,
you're not even part of the moving industry. What you gonna
yeah,
tell me?
yeah,
But then I thought about it and I was like, what if they can give me that outside perspective? I've been getting a lot of industry direct knowledge. What
yeah,
if that outside perspective can change the whole outlook where it can make my company go from another level?
yeah, yeah. I
And Mhm.
Oh, God.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I was reading a book, a personal development book, and I don't remember the exact five. I believe it was a doctor, a nurse, a plumber, a construction worker, and I can't remember the fifth one. So a teacher, just throw it out there. And they would meet monthly with each other. And they got insights to each other's industry because they saw it from a different lens. And what was really interesting, doctors and nurses, they work together, but nurses have a different lens than a doctor. And each was able to serve one another because they go, oh, well, this will work for this, and this will work for this. And so as I was looking at it, it's a game of curiosity. And then you got to try it because you won't know until you try. Like you
Mhm.
try it, you see if it works or you see if it doesn't, and you give it some time. You know, you don't do it once and go like, oh, it didn't work, because nothing works the first time you try it. But you try it, and they really valued each other's opinion and insights. It was really fascinating to see that. But just the same thing as what you're talking about, it just rung into my head.
Yeah, well, make sure you're smart about it because I had a financial controller. So when I had to tell her how much I spent on that damn consultation, she was furious. She was like, "If you needed therapy, I could have been your therapist for that much. God damn."
Yeah. Well, I'll say it gets interesting because everything's a game of negotiation. And if a person's really, really good at something, this is just my perspective, doesn't make it true or false, but if they're really, really good, they'll give you a dose so that you feel comfortable with what you're getting ready to pay for because they're that good. And I like challenging people in that. Like, okay, are you as good as you claim that you are? And then if they can give me the proof, if they can give me the explanations, but you get better at that as you go through the game too. Cause I've had some coaches that were not the best for me where I'm like, woo, that hurt the pocketbook a little bit. I
Yeah.
didn't get to see the result that I wanted to see.
No, and I think it's sometimes that we undermine ourselves. Like I'm a
Oh
very,
yeah.
very, very, very educated individual, and I stay continue to increase my knowledge by always working on things that come to mind when there's a challenge, and I'm like, you know what, I gotta step up to the plate and manage that
Yeah.
challenge, especially when it comes to numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to figure it out. That's just me. So when you take that information and now somebody says, "Hey, I can coach you. I can help you get to the next level." You're almost like, you know what? Maybe I don't know what I don't know. Maybe they'll hit me with some insights that I don't know. And then
Yeah.
when they start coaching you and they start going over stuff you already know and you prepared for, it's just like, God damn it, I lost again.
I've had people, and I'll just throw his name out there, Dan Henry specifically. Now I don't know him personally, but I've read a lot of his stuff. The guy's a genius at what he does, an insane marketer. It's on another level. He spent $30,000 on things he already knew. And what was interesting, he goes, "Oh, sometimes there's very smart people who put things in books, and people have to hear the person say the thing for them to actually do it." Morning, buddy. That's what these $30,000 books, or that's what these $30,000 masterminds sometimes are. It's literally already in the book. It
Mhm.
shows all the material in the book, but they have to hear someone tell them because they're busy listening to the voice in their own head. Like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Oh, I got to hear the right person tell me that I can do it so that I can actually do it. And so there are no mistakes. There's just learning lessons. Since you are a numbers guy, Dwight, I got someone for you. His name's Myron Golden, and he has a book called Four Boss Moves. This guy's a
Four,
beast.
four
This guy's a
bosses.
beast. Yeah. because now it's about not only knowing the numbers, but also knowing which numbers to look at. And when you look at the right numbers, change your life pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Did you have a chance to watch that video that I told you about? The one on um how much your owner paid themselves.
I saw some of it. Yes, it was very interesting.
Yeah, no. So for those that didn't see it, it's definitely on the website, maxmovingtraining.com. It's in the learning center. So, and for those that, don't maybe not aware of who I am or so like that, again, I'm Dwight with Max Moving Training, and we focus on, onboarding employees as well as giving owners helpful tips to be more efficient in their moving business. So with that being said, we do have a free learning center that's always, always growing with more and more free content for you to go and see. Because there's questions that, even when I was coming up in the industry, I had, and no one was able to answer. You go on YouTube, you look for it, whatever the case is. So for me, it's been my vision to just try to give that information back because I'm sure that other people have those same questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, so that video basically the video was I believe it was titled how much should you pay yourself as a business owner? And that video basically explains, hey, you know what? You get paid a certain amount of money per week, or bi-weekly, whatever it is. You know how much your bills are. Industry averages for debt and stuff like that is saying that, hey, a percentage should go towards your home expense, a percentage should go towards your savings, and a percentage should go towards your spending money. And with that logic and having all that in mind, you can actually determine, hey, if you're running a business, could I afford to quit my full-time job to go into the business full-time? Or is it something that I have to wait on if I'm not generating enough money? And, these were all questions like, one, how much should I pay myself as a business owner? So this video also helps out with figuring that out. So these were just questions that you will never find on Google. Hey, how much should I pay myself as a business owner? How much should I pay myself here? And you can type in all these different types of filters, and Google is like, huh? I even talked to my friend Chat. I know Chat GPT on a first name basis, and Chat couldn't tell me.
That's
So,
interesting stuff for sure.
So,
I love
yeah,
that.
like I said, it's a free learning center, unheard of. People got to charge for everything. And don't get me wrong, hey, we're in business to make money. But, at the same token, there's so much information out there that, if it could just be brought to one place. And think about it. What if you had a library of just moving information? And granted, you may not be a nerd like me, but if you had a library of just moving information where you could just say, well, hey, if I have a question, if I want to do this, what should I do?
Yeah.
And it was in one central place where you could just, oh, this is a video on that. Let me go watch it, and it's free. I'm not charging you for library cards. Don't worry, you ain't got to return the book.
I
But
say the 20% that gets the 80% in place. People need to know the pieces that will really, really just elevate their life to the next level and give them that another level of freedom. I think that's all we're ultimately looking for anyways, freedom.
Definitely, definitely. So, welcome everybody that's watching and tuning in. If you got any questions, definitely ask away. We are here to answer whatever questions you got. It could be anything.
Is Oscar here by chance? I know he shows up from time to time.
Oscar has been dormant for a little while.
Okay.
But I think we got Corey in the building. Good morning,
What's up, Corey?
Yeah, like I said, so we do have a coaching. I do have a coaching program that I do coaching sessions every Saturday with other business owners, and hey, it's a mastermind of business owners coming together, and we talk about the struggles going on. I'm telling you, these people they cry it out. Hey, I'm going through this. I need help with this. Whatever the case is. And you shouldn't be afraid to just come out and let it out, because at the end of the day, we're here to help each other. You
Yep.
know, and a lot of these guys have seen and gotten a lot of value to this point where, they can expand their business to another level because they didn't have these insights before. And to just acquire the information that they're acquiring now, it can cost you, like Cliff was saying, $30,000 that a lot of people don't
Yeah.
have.
It's going to cost you something like this. The truth is, every action we take is going to cost us in something, and we got to ask ourselves, are we willing to pay the cost?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. And as they say, don't and I guess one guy said yesterday, I guess I was devaluing my services or whatever the case is, and I should charge what I should charge. And maybe they're right,
Yep.
but at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes, yes, it's about the money, and sometimes it's not about the money. So it's like if I feel like this person is genuine and they need help, and I
Yeah.
can offer something that's reasonable, I guess that's my kryptonite. That I'm like, damn, they need help. And that price you're charging is just
I ultimately, my new line, it's about the alignment. If it aligns with you, go with it. If it doesn't align with you, don't. I've had I've helped people out who are not they just financially weren't in the space. And if you take their last financial, like, to me, this is just to me, because I've had other coaches say different. If it's whether they eat or not, I really want them to eat. I'm like, all right, you focus on that resource and I'll help you in whatever other area that I can help you in. And they have to do something like step to the plate, show courage, something. But other coaches was like, you got to spend your last time. Like, I'm not even going to say names. I'm just going to say, I'm not even going to say names. I'm just going to say some people say, nope. If you want it bad enough, you'll get it. You'll make it happen. You'll put it together. And I'm like, that's just not my game. Don't really fit in that very well.
Oh, you got to be an aggressive seller.
Yeah.
When are you looking to do this? You ain't got the money, or you don't want to spend it.
Yeah.
Like, well, goddamn, kind of both. But
Yep.
because if you want it bad enough, you'll find them.
Did you rob a bank? You must not have wanted it bad enough.
So no, it's definitely crazy, and I've never been one of those pushy people, and I get it from both perspectives that like a car salesman or whatever the case is, they probably have to be a little bit more aggressive or
Yeah.
whatever the case is. But I feel like what, when you offer a service of mentorship or something where you're willing to help somebody, they gotta be willing to want the help. And
Yeah, that's the truth.
And I've offered stuff for free, and and I've seen it on both spectrums. I offer stuff for free, and pretty much nobody. Sometimes some people will take it, sometimes nobody will take it. And
Yeah.
then when you offer stuff for paid, oh boy, well, some people choose not to take it because they're like, oh, I don't see the value in it. And I guess you got to make it so that it seems like it has some value to it, But
Yeah.
I'm never going to be that point to that person who's just like, you don't see the value. You don't see that I could do this. You just don't want to spend the money. You know what? If you want to think about it, think about it. Come back. I'll reach
Yeah.
out to you still. And like you
Yeah.
said, sometimes it takes that 7 points of contact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other thing too. As I'm going through this journey, I'm realizing if a person spends enough time with you, gathered they're getting value from you. If they spend enough time with you, they will open up their wallets.
Mm-hmm.
And so just having that reminder of, all right, I just need my people to spend enough time with me, provide them enough value, and it'll come when it comes. But that also always depends. Like, you're familiar with Grant Cardone, the 10X?
Grant Cardone. Yeah.
Yeah. So Grant Cardone will at times email his people 5 times a day. Now, to me, that's not something that I want to do, but it's not wrong for his audience. That's what his audience expects from someone like him. there's no right or wrong in this game. There's just, what do you choose to do? What do you choose not to do? Being very intentional with that. And your tribe will actually see the value in your intentionality. That's what's very interesting too. If you know why you do something or why you don't do something, they see value in that because they realize you know your game.
And it starts from the top down, guys. You know, so as business owners, what you do is what your employees do. You know, if you're slacking on a job, or you're like, oh, you know what, damn, we didn't this people. You know what, we're gonna hire this people. You know, we ain't trying to down that plane. You know, now it's like, oh, my guys are gonna do that. The boss did it, so we did it.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have sales meetings weekly. And every week that we had a sales meeting, it was like, hey, we had a checklist of everything that we need to go over. Hey, how's the phone system working? How's the sales reps doing? Are they getting to the phone quickly enough? We'll look at the CRM and we'll look at the sales reports and say, oh, hey, how many bad leads we had? Are we getting credit for those bad leads? And we'll have like a 20 question checklist where we'll have each member of the team, because the way the company worked was everybody had hands in on sales. There's not enough operations, or maybe there is enough operations where some people don't have to be dealing with sales, depending on how big your company is. But if the GM is talking to a customer, there's a potential for an upsell. If the dispatcher is talking to a customer because they're doing their follow-ups, there's a potential for an upsell. Your salespeople are talking to customers, there's potential for sales. Your movers are on a job, and oh snap, items won't fit in their house. We offer storage. There are sales referrals that they could be offering. Hey, you know, we could put your stuff in storage, right? You know, so everybody got their hands in sales in some way, shape, or form, whether you choose to define it or not. And when we used to have those sales meetings, it's like, okay, how quickly are we getting to the phones? How quickly are we doing this? Do the sales reps have all the tools that they need to be able to do their job efficiently? If there's something faulty about one of the calculators or a script or whatever the case is, what's going on? And we would have everything rated from a 1 to 5. And when people rated stuff like a 3 or something like that, okay, what's going on in that area that we need to focus on? Okay, cool. All right, so we'll make a note of that, and then we'll revisit this topic in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and we'll see if that number improved or not. And people were like, I could probably see people or hear people in the back of my mind right now, like, I ain't got time for that, you know? But it's just like, that's part of growing your business. You got to have a sales meeting. You got to have operations meetings.
Yep. No, each piece is definitely critical, and it is, say, top down, bottom up, like getting all of those pieces, those foundations and pace locked down solid. And I respect any leader who goes through the journey, any owner who goes through the journey. So I got tons of respect for you, brother. I know it's not the easiest path, but it's the path we chose.
Who you telling? I had my first meeting this past week or so like that with my consultant. So so basically we have a learning solutions consultant, everybody. So in the group, her name is Sheng, but she is not an AI. So let me just make sure we get that clear. So her name is Flitz, but basically she is the learner solutions consultant who basically, you know, if you have any questions or anything like that, you know, you can always ask her and she can give you some advice or so like that. But yeah, we had to have our first company meeting where it's like, okay, hey, here's these things, let's go over these 10-point checklists. Let's make sure that everything is on point. And if it isn't, hey, I know what I need to be working on to try to get it back up to speed, and then get the buy-in to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And that's how you start. You know, you start with one person to now you got 10 people. You used to have quarterly meetings with everybody on staff, managers, salespeople, movers, drivers, everybody in the same room. And it's a little rowdy in the beginning because everybody's just like, you know, and it feels like a day off, even though they're getting paid for this damn meeting. So we want to keep it short. And you're like, well, hey guys, what's going on in the field? And the guys are like, oh, um, so I think the sales team has been not really paying attention to the inventory and they just been booking a job. And you're like, hmm, okay. And then you ask the salespeople, what's going on? And they're like, well, no, we definitely been paying attention to the job. It's just basically these customers have only been telling us this, 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 and this. And now it's like, one, the reason why I did it is because I want the reason why I put everybody in the same room is because I didn't want people pointing fingers at different people and I having to go back and say, oh, well, this person said this and this person said this. So we're gonna clear this air right now. We're gonna figure out what's going on. And now the salespeople know what they could be working on. Oh, well, so they're not even packed or ready to go when you guys are getting there. Okay, so what we'll start to do is we'll start incorporating this. And we'll start seeing if that makes things a little better. So now when that second meeting happens in a year, how's everything been going out there? Oh, yeah, no, things have definitely been changing. Things have definitely been getting better. Okay, so we're making progress in the right direction.
Nice. Respect, White, because and it's doing those things that are kind of uncomfortable to do, right? Because you don't know who's going to do what. Because I've seen like the movers and the sales staff attack each other when they're not around each other.
Mhm.
Well, the sales did this, the sales team did this, and then the movers did this, and this is what they did, and this is why they screwed it up. I'm like, all right, let's all gather around, round the
Yeah,
campfire. Let's talk this out.
gotcha. So one of the questions, like I said, I asked in the group earlier, is what is some people's biggest struggles? And I've actually been curious to know because I know some people could say sales, and they're like, oh well, hey, if it's sales, they might hire an outside consultant, like you know, hey, I'm dropping names, but movies or um these other call centers. I'm losing my mind right now. And with companies like that, it's just like, okay, great, they handle your sales issues,
Yeah,
possibly. Now, what about, are you need some people need help in marketing? Now, obviously, there's no marketing particularly company that's out there besides marketing people that might help with your Facebook advertisements or your SEO or whatever the case is.
yeah.
I think all these lead providers are coming from the woodworks, but would there be a demand, I guess, for a marketer, like an outside marketer, where they're like, oh, well, hey, I'm monitoring all of your marketing leads. I'm making sure that they're optimized. I'm making sure that they're good, so that basically you're getting the best value from it. Would there be, you're on mute, Cliff. Would there
Yeah, I
be
was
a,
yelling at my son to turn the TV down.
oh, okay.
He's blasting it right now.
Yeah, and I'm
But
guessing
I'll
like,
tell you guys, so this is one marketing insight that I got going through my process. People don't necessarily look at the root of the problem. They look at the symptom. And what's very interesting, I think most people are hardwired that way.
mhm.
Because if I told someone that I can get rid of their head plane, like let's say someone has a headache, I'll give you some context. They have headaches, they've been having them for days. One person can say, well, I'm going to open up your skull, look in there, dig around inside, figure out how to get rid of the headache. Another person can say, well, I'm going to give you an Advil or an aspirin or pain reliever and get rid of your headache. And ultimately, as you go through the process, most people are going to take the aspirin, right? Yeah, like, let me take that one. That's what I'm going to do. But if it's diagnosed properly and the diagnosis says, hey, you have brain cancer, well, now all of a sudden, that opening your skull up, digging around in your brain and getting it out doesn't seem like a very bad option. And so when we look at the game of life, it's a game of what are the symptoms and how do you effectively show them the symptoms of what's going on their journey, on their business, in their life. Way easier said than done because we all go through our process.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It definitely is. You definitely need to get, like you said, get to the root of whatever the issue is, because it's so much intricate details to everything, and you hire a sales team. So they
Mm-hmm.
do all your sales. You hire a marketing team, they do all your marketing. But if you don't know if that sales team is getting to your calls within the first 5 minutes, and you're not a strict person where you're like, hey, we need to be getting to these calls quickly,
Mm-hmm.
or it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe you close at 5 o'clock and a new lead comes in at like 2:57, but because people are so drained for the day, they're not getting to the leads.
Yep.
So now those leads that sat there from like 2:57 p.m. are sitting there until 8, 9 o'clock the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're wondering, oh yeah, this person, they really didn't need moving, or no, they already found movers. So
Yeah.
so then it comes down to what it's called it, memory strength, I like to call it, and I probably am using the wrong term, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things where you have to train your mind. Like being on the phones all day long is draining.
Yeah.
you know. So I get it, where it's like, well, hey, it's just like a mover. Okay, you have a mover, you've been in business for 9 years, and that one mover that you hired, let's say John is his name, it's been a mover for 7 years of your
Mm-hmm.
company. John, why didn't you move up? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I just like to lift stuff and put it down. Well, eventually you're going to get burnt out, and it becomes so repetitive that you don't give that same energy you were once given 2 years in, because you've been doing the same thing for 7 years now. And with
Yep.
salespeople, same concept. They
Yep.
they on the phones every day, every day, every day. And granted, you don't have positions where they could be managers, maybe, because you can't get everybody to be a manager because you don't have the lead volume, which is his own issue.
Mm-hmm.
But so now you have to figure out, okay, well, could you give them little small assignments? But then if you give them small assignments, they're going to be not necessarily paying attention to their follow-ups or being on the phones or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of need to be able to switch it up a little bit from time to time to keep them engaged.
Yep.
So that, I don't know. That's just my I guess my 2 cents when it comes to like changing it up, switching it up, getting to the root of the issue.
Well,
And
yeah, and the awareness too. Like it's just about making people aware. Like even my wife could watch me and be like, "Well, you're just on the phone," right? Because that's what she sees. So
mhm,
she doesn't know that it takes energy. Because in her mind, it's like you're just talking on a phone.
yeah,
But when you point out, and that's the thing is, I go, "Oh my goodness, this is always an awareness game." The only time they ever get it off is because their awareness is off or their intention is off. And that's where they say buyers are liars. Well, that's true because the buyer's really just looking out for their best interests. It's not that they're actually lying, it's that they're looking out for their best interests, not yours.
mhm,
And so when you can say, like, okay, how do we, like, where's the win win? And it's true, there are some people who are not looking for the win win, no matter what, no matter how you present it to them. They don't want to see it. They want to see I win and you lose because that's the game that they play. But
mhm.
game of awareness. And I mean, I love the way you displayed it there. When we're aware of something, like, yeah, why am I just lifting things up and putting them back down? Like, why do I do that to myself? But you were conditioned that way. We're all
Mhm.
conditioned a certain way.
And some of these guys want more tasks. Oh, boss,
Yep.
you want me to come clean the trucks out in the morning? You want me to come straighten up the
Yep.
equipment? and those are things that we might want to take in an insight, but we also want to judge their character. Like, are these guys dependable or will they do it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and if they are, okay, you know what? Keep loyalty to keep these guys happy. Hey, I'll do it. I
Mhm.
played. Hey, Oscar, we were just talking about you.
Oh,
Um,
nice. You made it on. Tell him I said what's up.
so, so no, it's one of those things where you I lost my damn train of thought. But yeah, no, it's one of those things where you want to keep those guys engaged. There's been times where I played video games with my guys, and oh, hey, we're gonna hop on this game later tonight or whatever the case is. You hopping on?
Yep.
Sure. But when I
Yep.
hop on, I'm saying, hey guys, this is not a work talk. We don't talk about work in these game chats. This is just a different world. Um,
Could you, could you imagine them playing a game saying you screwed that up, you mother? I just dunked on you.
right, like, oh, we out here playing Call of Duty or something. They talking about
Snipe
bo-
him in the
right,
head.
like boss, did you send that tip yet? What the hell? I am no boss on this call. We are playing Call of Duty. But you also got to make sure that you have that fine line of understanding that, hey, granted, I might play games with you, but at the end of the day, when we're on the clock, we're on the clock. Hey, I'm the boss, you the worker, or so like that, and we need to keep that fine line that, hey, if you screw up, you could still be gone the next day. But
Yeah.
if we still cool outside of work, I'll still play Call of Duty with you after I fired you. Don't get me wrong. You know, don't be trying to snipe me now when I But and that's just the personable relationship you can have with your people where, hey, respectfully, it didn't work out between us, but don't mean that we gotta be enemies out in the street.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
hey, it's a business. We all gotta run businesses. If you out here damaging furniture, I don't care how good you are at Call of Duty or Madden. It's like that's money. EA done made their money.
100%. 100%.
So, but yeah, all right, everybody. So we are at the top of the hour. I hope you did get some insight. Obviously, I know we were rambling about different things, but hey, this is what the show is about. It's not one thing fits all. No one training is going to fit everyone's training method. It's you get what you get, and the more you guys definitely tune in and speak your piece so that we can kind of feed off your energy, the more the show is just going to grow.
Yep.
But yeah, Cliff, take us home.
Yeah, well, I want to say, Oscar, great having you on. Glad you were able to hop on. And I think the other guy was Corey, so I want to thank you for hopping on too. And if I got your name wrong, I apologize. But yeah, as we talk this out, like, just let us know what we can do to add value in your lives, because that's what we're looking to do. Just really support you on your journey, make your journey as easy as possible, because it can be tough, it can be rocky. So appreciate you all for tuning in. Dwight, appreciate you for putting this together.
Definitely, definitely. All right, y'all. So we will see y'all next. Well, not next week. We'll see y'all the week after, around April 6th or so like that. So, all right. If you have any questions, I'm definitely here. To give y'all some guidance as well as Cliff. From his standpoint. So yeah, let's go. Let's grow. All
Have a
right,
great one,
y'all.
everyone.
Take
Take care.
care.